Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're taking a look at this new Qwen 2.5 technical report from the Qwen team.
Oh yeah, this one is
It
exciting.
was just published December 20th, 2024.
Really fresh off the press.
Exactly. And
Hmm.
it's available already on a few platforms like Hugging Face and Model Scope.
It's spreading fast.
Yeah. And, you've probably heard people talking about Qwen 2.5, this powerful new set of large language models, LLMs as they're called.
Right.
But what's all the hype about?
Yeah. What makes this one special?
Well, that's what we're going to find out today.
Okay, let's dive in.
So to start off, maybe you can give us an overview of what Qwen 2.5 is all about.
Sure. So what's interesting about Qwen 2.5 is it's not just one single LLM.
Okay.
It's actually a whole family, or I like to think of it as a toolbox of LLMs.
Okay, I like that analogy.
And each of these models has, different sizes and a different skill set. So you can use them for different types of tasks.
So it's kind of like picking the right tool for the job.
Exactly, like a
Yeah.
specialized toolkit. Okay, so we've got this set of different models with different strengths.
hmm
But what makes Qwen 2.5 stand out from all the other LLMs out there?
Right. Well, the Qwen team, they've really been working hard, and they've made some significant improvements.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to both the pre-training and the post-training compared to the earlier versions of Qwen.
Interesting. So they're refining the process even further?
Yeah, and one of the key things they did was they significantly increased the data that they use for pre-training.
Oh, wow. So how much are we talking here?
So in the previous version, they used 7 trillion tokens.
Okay.
Now hold on to your hats.
Okay.
They've jumped to a massive 18 trillion tokens for Qwen 2.5.
Wow, that's a huge increase. Okay, so maybe this is a good time to just remind everyone what we mean when we talk about tokens.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Because it's easy to get lost in the jargon.
Right, so think of tokens as like the basic building blocks of language.
Okay.
They can be words, they can be punctuation marks, or even just parts of words. And the idea is that the more tokens a model is trained on, the better it's going to understand the nuances of language.
It's like giving it a wider range of experiences to learn from.
Exactly.
So with 18 trillion tokens, Qwen 2.5 must have an incredible grasp of language.
Yeah, it's like it's read every book in the library.
Wow.
And, not just books. It's got this vast knowledge base covering all sorts of things, from basic common sense to specialized fields like coding and math.
I'm actually looking at figure 1 in the report right now.
Oh, yeah.
And they visually show how the models improve their ability to solve math problems as the number of tokens they are trained on increases.
Yeah, it really highlights how that scale matters.
It's really impressive.
Yeah, but like I said earlier, the Qwen team didn't just stop at increasing the data size.
Right.
They also incorporated some very clever post-training techniques.
Oh, okay. So after that initial massive training, they're doing even more.
Exactly. They're
Yeah.
taking these models to the next level.
Okay, I see. And the report mentions supervised fine-tuning and reinforcement learning as key parts of this post-training process.
Yes, exactly. So with supervised fine-tuning, you're essentially giving the model specific examples and guidance
Uh-huh.
to help it learn how to perform tasks correctly.
Oh, so it's like giving it extra practice problems.
It's kind of like having a tutor.
Okay. I can see how that would improve the accuracy.
Right, and then you've got reinforcement learning.
Okay, so how does that one work?
So reinforcement learning is more about letting the model learn through trial and error.
Interesting.
It gets rewards for good performance, and it's penalized for making mistakes.
So it's almost like training a pet?
Yeah, kind of. You give it treats for doing the right thing.
So they are really putting these models through their paces.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about the different types of Qwen 2.5 models that are actually available.
Okay, yeah, because I'm sure people are curious about what they can actually get their hands on.
Right. So the report mentions 2 main categories. The first one is open weight models.
Open weight.
And then the second category is proprietary models.
Okay, so I'm assuming open weight means anyone can use them.
Exactly. They're publicly available. You can access them and use them for your own projects.
Awesome, that's great.
Yeah, and these open weight models come in a variety of sizes,
Okay.
ranging from a relatively small 0.5 billion parameters all the way up to a massive 72 billion parameters.
Okay, so now we're talking about parameters.
Right.
Maybe we should clarify what those are for people who aren't familiar.
Yeah, for sure. So parameters are like the building blocks of the model's brain, if you will.
Okay.
They determine how the model processes information and makes predictions.
Uh-huh.
And generally speaking, the more parameters a model has, the more complex and nuanced its abilities can be.
So it's like having a larger network of neurons.
Exactly.
Okay, so those are the open weight models,
Right.
and then we've got the proprietary models. What's the story with those?
So these proprietary models are available through Alibaba Cloud. which is a platform for computing services. And these models include some really interesting architectures like Mixture of Experts or MOE.
MOE, that sounds intriguing.
Yeah, it's a very clever approach.
So what's the advantage of using this kind of architecture?
So imagine you have a team of experts, and each expert has their own specific area of expertise.
Okay.
When you face a problem, you'd want to go to the expert who's most qualified to solve it, right?
Right. The best person for the job.
Exactly, and that's what MOE models do.
Interesting.
They dynamically assign different parts of a task to the expert that's best suited for it.
So they're kind of delegating.
Yeah, and this makes them really efficient, especially for complex tasks.
Okay, that makes sense. So the report specifically mentions two proprietary models, Qwen 2.5 Turbo and Qwen 2.5 Plus.
Right.
What can you tell us about those?
Okay, so Qwen 2.5 Turbo, that one is all about handling really long contexts.
Oh, wow. So like processing large amounts of text at once.
Exactly. You see, some models have limits on how much text they can process at one time, but Qwen 2.5 Turbo can handle a context length of up to 1 million tokens.
1 million tokens. That's incredible.
It is.
Okay, so what about Qwen 2.5 Plus? What's its specialty?
So Qwen 2.5 Plus is designed for those who need the absolute highest accuracy.
Okay.
It's been meticulously fine-tuned to excel across a very wide range of tasks.
So it's like the top-of-the-line model.
Exactly.
It sounds like Qwen 2.5 is really shaping up to be a strong contender in the world of LLMs.
Yeah, it definitely is.
But how does it actually stack up against the competition?
Well, the results are very impressive.
Okay, good to hear.
For example, they found that Qwen 2.5's 72B Instruct, which is one of the open weight models,
Right.
it actually outperforms other open weight models, even those that are much larger, like Llama 3 405B Instruct.
Wow, so size isn't everything.
Exactly. It's really a testament to the Qwen team's strategic design and training methods.
That's amazing. So they've shown that you can achieve better performance through clever design rather than just brute force.
Right. And when you look at the proprietary models, Qwen 2.5 Turbo and Qwen 2.5 Plus, they're both incredibly powerful and cost-effective.
Okay, that's important.
Yeah, and they're even able to compete with the big names like GPT-4 Mini and GPT-4o.
Wow, that's really impressive. It seems like the Qwen team has really shaken things up in the LLM space.
They have.
But what's next for Qwen 2.5? What are they looking towards in the future?
Well, one of the things they've already done is they've used Qwen 2.5 to develop some specialized models for specific tasks.
Oh, okay, so like more targeted tools.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for example, they've created Qwen 2.5 Math, which is specifically designed for solving math problems.
Makes sense.
And they also have Qwen 2.5 Coder, which is focused on writing code.
So they're really branching out and creating models with specialized expertise.
Exactly. And beyond that, one of their main focuses is on enhancing robustness.
Robustness.
Yeah, so basically making the models even more reliable and capable.
Okay, so they're making them even better.
And they're also exploring the exciting world of multimodal understanding.
Multimodal understanding. Now that sounds really futuristic. What does that even mean?
So think of it this way. Imagine an AI that can understand not just text, but also images and audio.
Wow.
So it could analyze a photo, it could interpret a piece of music, or even understand the emotions conveyed in your voice.
That's incredible. So we're talking about AI that can interact with the world in a much more human-like way.
Exactly, and that's one of the things that makes Qwen 2.5 so exciting. It's not just a powerful tool for today, it's a glimpse into the future of AI.
Yeah, it's really mind-blowing to think about all the possibilities.
It is, and that's just the beginning.
Well, this has been a fascinating overview of Qwen 2.5 and all its potential.
You know, one thing that really stood out to me in the report was
Yeah.
their emphasis on quality over quantity.
Okay.
They didn't just throw any data they could find at the model. They were very selective about choosing high-quality data for both pre-training and post-training.
So it's like feeding the model a healthy diet.
Exactly, and they've actually used some really innovative techniques
Oh, like what?
to make the training process even more effective.
Okay.
For instance, they use something called staged pre-training.
Staged pre-training.
Yeah. It basically means gradually increasing the complexity of the data that the model learns from.
So kind of like starting with the basics and then gradually working your way up.
Exactly. You don't want to overwhelm the model with too much too soon.
Right, ease it in.
Yeah. And they also incorporated long context pre-training,
Long context.
which means training the model on increasingly longer sequences of text.
Okay.
This is especially important for models like Qwen 2.5 Turbo,
Right.
which are designed to handle those massive million-token contexts.
Right. It's like training for a marathon. You don't start by running 26 miles on day one.
Exactly. You gradually build up your endurance.
Okay.
And they've also included specialized data for math and coding,
Oh,
and which is probably why the model performs so well on those benchmarks.
yeah, that makes sense. And we can't forget about the post-training efforts either. The report really highlights how they used over 1 million examples for supervised fine-tuning,
Wow.
just to refine the model's ability to perform specific tasks.
That's a lot of fine-tuning.
It is. It's really impressive.
Yeah, they really focused on honing the model's skills in key areas, like generating long sequences of text, solving math problems, writing code,
Wow.
and even understanding structured data like tables.
So they're really making it more versatile and capable.
Exactly. The goal is to be able to handle a wide range of real-world tasks.
Right, because that's ultimately what makes these models useful.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And they've also made some significant improvements to the model's ability to follow instructions,
Okay.
which is crucial, for making AI more useful and more aligned with human intentions.
Right. We want to make sure it's doing what we want it to do.
Exactly. Now, the report also goes into quite a bit of detail about reinforcement learning,
Okay.
mentioning both offline and online RL.
Right.
So it seems like they've used a combination of approaches here.
Okay, so can you break down the difference between those two for us?
Sure. So offline RL is kind of like pre-training for reinforcement learning.
Okay.
You use it to train the model on tasks where it's difficult to get a clear reward signal,
Okay.
like complex reasoning or following intricate instructions.
So it's like giving it a basic understanding of how to approach those more challenging tasks.
Exactly. It's like laying the foundation.
Okay.
And then they move on to online RL, where the model actually learns in real time,
Oh, okay.
receiving feedback and adjusting its behavior as it goes.
So it's like learning on the job.
Yeah, exactly. And this is where that trial and error learning really comes in.
Right, it gets better with practice.
Exactly. And online RL is key for fine-tuning the model's ability to generate really high-quality responses
Okay.
that are both accurate and aligned with human preferences.
So it's all about making sure it's not just spitting out random information, but actually providing something valuable.
Precisely. And the report actually dedicates a whole section to how they designed their reward model.
Reward?
Yeah, which is essentially the coach that guides the model during reinforcement learning.
Oh, okay, so it's like setting the criteria for what constitutes a good response.
Exactly. Now, speaking of evaluation,
Yes.
the report is filled with all sorts of charts and tables comparing Qwen 2.5's performance to other leading models.
Right, it seems like they've really done their homework when it comes to benchmarking.
Oh, yeah. They tested it on a wide range of benchmarks, including publicly available ones and some of their own internal benchmarks.
And how did it do?
Well, the results were really impressive, especially on the multilingual benchmarks.
Oh, wow. So Qwen 2.5 is quite the polyglot.
It is. It's clear they've put a lot of effort into making sure it performs well across multiple languages.
Which is really important in today's world.
Absolutely. And they didn't shy away from comparing it to some of the industry giants like GPT-4 and Claude 3.5.
Right, because those are kind of the gold standard.
Exactly. And it's really encouraging to see that Qwen 2.5 is holding its own and even surpassing some of those bigger models in certain areas.
Wow, that's amazing.
It is. However, the report also acknowledges that evaluating these powerful LLMs is not always straightforward.
Right, because it's not just about running a few simple tests.
Exactly. Traditional benchmarks might not fully capture all of a model's capabilities.
Right, or its potential weaknesses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So evaluating these models is an ongoing research challenge in itself.
It's like trying to measure something that's constantly evolving.
Precisely. And they also highlight the importance of evaluating the reward model itself.
Oh, okay, so it's not just about the model's performance, but also about the quality of the feedback it's getting.
Exactly. It's like making sure the coach is providing the right kind of guidance.
Right, because a high score on a reward model benchmark doesn't necessarily guarantee real-world success.
Right. So the researchers are constantly working to improve these evaluation methods,
Makes sense.
making sure they accurately reflect the model's true capabilities.
So it's a continuous process of refinement and innovation.
Exactly. Now, we can't forget about those impressive long context capabilities.
Right. Qwen 2.5 Turbo really stood out in that area.
Yeah. They even included an interesting example called the passkey retrieval task,
Okay.
where the model had to find a hidden number within 1 million tokens of text.
Oh, wow. So like finding a needle in a haystack?
Exactly. But Qwen 2.5 Turbo managed to do it with 100% accuracy.
That's incredible.
It is. It really highlights the model's ability to process and understand vast amounts of information.
But I imagine processing that much text must be really computationally expensive.
Oh, yeah, it can be.
And time-consuming.
Definitely. So they focused on optimizing the model's speed,
Okay.
particularly for those long context tasks.
So how did they do that?
They introduced a sparse attention mechanism,
Sparse attention mechanism.
which significantly reduces the computational burden.
So it's like streamlining the process.
Exactly. For a sequence of 1,000,000 tokens, this approach speeds things up by a factor of 12.5.
Wow. That's a huge improvement.
It is. So even with regular computers, we could start to see applications that can handle these massive amounts of information.
Yeah, that opens up a lot of possibilities.
So what are some of the potential real-world applications of this technology?
Well, the possibilities are vast.
Yeah.
Imagine personalized educational tools that can adapt to your entire learning history.
Oh, wow.
Or AI-powered research assistants that can sift through mountains of scientific literature.
That would be amazing.
Or even creative writing tools that can draw inspiration from your entire life story.
It's incredible to think about how this technology could transform so many aspects of our lives.
It is. And it's not just about longer texts.
Right.
Remember, the Qwen team is also working on multimodal understanding,
Right.
which means future versions of Qwen 2.5 might be able to process images and audio alongside text.
Well, that's where things get really exciting.
Yeah.
Imagine an AI that can understand the emotions conveyed in a piece of music
Mm-hmm.
or the historical context of a painting.
Yeah, we're talking about AI that can perceive the world in a much richer and more nuanced way.
This opens up a whole new realm of possibilities for human-computer interaction.
It does. It's both thrilling and a bit daunting to think about the potential impact.
It is. The Qwen team concludes their report by emphasizing their commitment to advancing these robust foundational models,
Okay.
expanding into multimodal understanding, and pushing the boundaries of AI's reasoning capabilities.
So they're not resting on their laurels. They're actively working to make these models even more capable and versatile.
Exactly. And beneficial to society.
It's really amazing to see the progress that's being made.
It is. It's an exciting time to be following the field of AI.
It's really amazing to see how far AI has come.
It really is.
I mean, Qwen 2.5 is such a great example of that progress.
Yeah, this deep dive has really highlighted,
Yeah.
you know how that combination of massive amounts of data,
Right.
clever training techniques,
Mhm.
and this focus on ethical development can really lead to these groundbreaking advancements in AI.
Impressive.
It is.
And we've covered so much ground today.
We have.
From those basics of tokens and parameters, all the way to, those complexities of reinforcement learning and multimodal understanding.
Right.
It's been quite a journey.
It has.
We've seen how Qwen 2.5 measures up against the competition
Yeah.
and, exceeding expectations in some areas, even challenging the status quo.
It's really pushing the boundaries.
It is. And I think for me, one of the most important takeaways
Yeah.
is just the sheer potential of these large language models.
Right.
They really have the power to reshape how we live and work and interact with the world around us.
Yeah, Qwen 2.5 is a prime example of that.
It is.
Just incredible innovation that's happening in AI right now.
Mm-hmm.
It gives us this glimpse into a future where AI is not just, a tool,
Right.
but like a true partner in our endeavors.
It's exciting and maybe a little bit scary at the same time.
I think so.
But definitely exciting. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with this one thought-provoking question.
Okay.
The Qwen team emphasizes their commitment to making these models more robust,
Right. More reliable.
trustworthy, resilient to errors.
Mm.
But as these models become even more powerful,
Yeah.
how do we ensure that they also become more responsible?
Right.
How do we build AI that not only enhances our capabilities, but also reflects our values?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is.
And it's one that I think deserves careful consideration from everyone involved,
Yeah,
researchers, policymakers, and just society as a whole.
absolutely.
There are no easy answers,
Right.
but it's a conversation we need to be having
We do.
as we enter this exciting new era of AI.
Well said. And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the Qwen 2.5 technical report.
It's been a pleasure.
It has been. We hope you enjoyed exploring the cutting edge of AI with us. And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking those big questions.
Absolutely.